Welcome to the Workers' International Network YouTube channel. I'm Roger Silverman, and I want to talk to you today about the crisis in the British Labour Party. First, what are my credentials? I've been a member of the Labour Party for about 6 decades, with the exception of the new Labour years. I rejoined to help elect Jeremy Corbyn to the leadership. I was a candidate in the recent elections for Labour's National Executive Committee, along with other candidates of the Labour Left Alliance. In these elections, I was opposed, unfortunately, not just by the right wing, but also by the official left, which exerted pressure on me to stand down on the false grounds that I risked splitting the left vote. This was proved to be a fallacy. I'm proud to say that against the opposition of both the right wing and the official left, I was nominated by 65 constituency Labour parties, winning a total of 3,473 votes, and remaining a contender in the race right up to round 30 out of a total of 37 ballots. I'm especially proud that 2,072 Labour activists actually put my name right at the top of their list. So I think I can justifiably claim to represent a significant body of opinion within Labour's ranks. I'm also the author of a recent history of the Labour Party called Labour and the Struggle for Socialism. This can be found online at our website, www.onthebrink.online. As is explained in this pamphlet, the ruling class has always depended on a right-wing leadership to contain the aspirations of the Labour Party. What is different about this latest attack is the ban on any discussion of it, the wholesale removal of constituency parties for daring to question it, and the outrageous and disgusting smears that have been hurled at its victims. To dare to accuse the most prominent contemporary fighter against racism of any kind of anti-Semitism is the most breathtakingly vile slander imaginable. The victimization of the party's most popular former leader is a declaration of war on the hundreds of thousands of party members who had surged into the Labour Party to support him. It's a brazenly unconstitutional act of spite and provocation by the leader and General Secretary. The clearest sign of how desperate they are is the use of these utterly grotesque lies in the purge. In the past, the charges levelled at party activists at least made some sense. In the 1980s, for instance, members of Militant were expelled from the party for being Trotskyists, and they were. Not that that was any grounds to expel them. Although the wholesale expulsions of the left in those days were vindictive, malicious, and unconstitutional, they were at least frankly political. The pretext for their expulsions was that they organised to promote their ideas, as if the right-wing officials infesting party headquarters were not themselves constantly scheming and plotting behind the scenes, to what extent is now proved by the recently leaked secret report, which exposes the fact that paid officials of the party were hell-bent on outright sabotage of the party's prospects. So the word witch hunt has sometimes been bandied about rather loosely, but this is literally the closest parallel in modern times to the original witch hunts of the 17th century. Anyone accused then of witchcraft was thereby condemned without trial, just like now for anyone accused of anti-Semitism. Prominent anti-racist campaigners are indiscriminately accused of racism. Once accused, the victim is already branded, reviled, condemned. Anyone protesting at this injustice, anyone defending them from the charge, now as then, is automatically condemned in turn. There is no means of legitimate defence. Even being Jewish is also no defence. Many Jews have found themselves too branded anti-Semites. The witch hunters get around that paradox by contriving the absurd and hypocritical accusation that they are self-hating Jews. I will deal in a separate broadcast with the horrible and ludicrous implications of this campaign. I would just say, though, as a Jewish member of the Labour Party, that I'm grateful for Mr. Evans's concern to ensure that the Labour Party remains, as he puts it, a safe and welcoming space for Jewish members. I just wish you could be trusted to keep it a safe and welcoming space for socialists. Labour parties today are forbidden to discuss Labour Party business. The new General Secretary has suspended members and entire CLPs. As Angela Rayner has spelt out in so many words, we will expel thousands of party members. The leadership are hell-bent on purging the party of socialists. But unlike in the new Labour years, it is they who are out of step with the times. Starmer thinks he can repeat the experience of New Labour, but Blair came to office with the wholehearted support of the ruling class at a time of prolonged boom, and they only dispensed with his services when the crash came in 2008. Today, the world has changed. In this period of unprecedented crisis, there is no room left for Blairism, New Labour, moderation, a third way. Today, there is no middle way. The choice is between a capitalism red in tooth and claw or a socialist solution. That's why Starmer will not succeed in his doomed attempt to follow in Blair's footsteps. The right wing are hell-bent on driving the left out. They're doing this directly with suspensions and expulsions, and indirectly by plunging into despair tens of thousands of members who are just dropping out. Their tactics are to suspend socialist activists, knowing that for every one they suspend, 1,000 will walk out in protest. More than 100 CLPs have defied instructions and passed resolutions in support of Corbyn or of no confidence in Evans and Starmer. They're being systematically suspended or put in special measures. At least 60,000 and probably actually a couple of 100,000 have left the party voluntarily. So a split in the Labour Party is not just a distant prospect, it's already happening now. That's not due to wrecking tactics by the left. It's being pursued with the utmost vigour and determination by the right. They are determined to drive the left out, to transform the Labour Party back into a tame network of aspiring careerists. They're faced with the need to purge the party of the hundreds of thousands who flocked to join when Jeremy Corbyn became leader, making it the biggest political party in Europe. This is a one-sided civil war. As usual, the left are pleading for unity, while the right are systematically driving the process to its conclusion. Since there's no clear left leadership with a strategy and perspective, it is proceeding blindly in fits and starts. But there is no other conceivable outcome. The split in the Labour Party has already begun. Let's make it clear, I'm not calling for a split. Starmer and Evans and Rayner are making one. That's why for individuals to simply drop out in despair without any plan is a disastrous mistake. Don't do Starmer the favour of leaving without a fight. The suspended CLPs have to link together urgently into a national left Labour network. That's the only way forward. They mustn't fragment or dissipate their forces. They must join together as the real backbone of Labour. The task now is to join up the suspended CLPs and individual members into a national network and to call for support from the party's trade union base. A new party will not be created out of thin air. No individual, no matter how charismatic, has ever succeeded in launching a new mass socialist party. Not James Maxton and his fellow members of the ILP, who were giants with a proud history in founding Britain's first mass workers' party. Not Arthur Scargill, who had led the biggest strike in British history since the General Strike. Not even George Galloway, who had at least defied Labour to win a historic by-election as an independent. And that's to say nothing of the myriad little ultra-left sects. The key to building a mass workers' party lies, as always, with the trade unions who formed the original Labour Party. It is for them to withdraw their affiliation to found a genuine socialist party of Labour. This is not an unrealistic prospect. In 2004, the Railway Union, the RMT, and the Firefighters Union, the FBU, disaffiliated from Labour. And as recently as 2015, Unite threatened in effect to launch an alternative party. In today's incomparably harsher conditions, this is an outcome more rational and more real by the day. It's through the trade unions and the newly insurgent Labour branches and militants that the millions of victims of capitalism will find their true voice, the workers without a job, the families without homes, the youth without a future. That's how a mass socialist movement will at last come into being. Thank you for listening. Watch this space for further comment.